Hey everyone, it is Larry here at LC Model Shipbuilding, and in this video we are finally back on the Titanic build. So I'm really excited about this. It's been a little bit of a long time coming. So in this video we're going to be basically getting ready to start the A deck. We're going to be doing the decking and a lot of the flooring for the rooms. So we do the second class staircase, we do the flooring for the first class smoking lounge, and the veranda and palm courts. So anyway, thank you very much for watching. Please give us a subscribe, and let's get started. Okay, so here we are back with Titanic. Been a little bit of a while. So what I want to do right now is figure out where I need to make the adjustments for this grand staircase, because how Trumpeter did this, it doesn't line up. And if you remember, we moved this one back, which is why it's not connected right now. And I'm getting ready to connect it here soon, but I want to make sure that I am putting the next level up staircase in the right location. So first thing I want to do, so this isn't touching the bottom here right now, is kind of elevate it, and need to elevate the center. I'm just going to use a piece of a wall for right now. So I basically have all levels of decking up to the boat deck right now here, just so I can figure this out as I'm going, because I want to end up getting the right location. Now I don't have all the boat houses sitting here right now, but there you go. As you can see, this staircase does actually line up right there, which is good. And back here, let's check the aft staircase. That one also seems to be lining up. Now granted, you won't be able to see it anyway, really at all, so I guess I'm really not that worried about that one. You will potentially see this one here, if you can hopefully see the camera through the upper level. So that doesn't need to be relocated, it appears. Now the weird part is, when you put the next deck on here, it completely blocks out most of the staircase, so this is going to have to get cut away, obviously. And then up here on the boat deck, you do have the cutout for the staircase, so that kind of sits right there. And back here, I'm going to take the camera off the stand for a second. Back here, you can see that it will go straight down, and you'll be able to see that, so that's good. And then we have the Maritime Models deck for, or I mean staircase for here, so that will get cut away and we'll be good. But yeah, this is going to have to get cut basically in that shape so that our staircase lands where we want it to land. And then as we get up to our final levels here, trying to get a better shot there, just backwards, that lands here, so we want that to be cleared away, obviously. And then that will cover that, and that will cover that. Now we're also going to be obviously doing interior work on A deck, which also now means that I need to figure out that well right in here better, but that'll be later on because this is the boat deck. Sorry, I'm getting the decks messed up in my head right now, just because of the amount of what's going on here. Now we're also going to need to cut out a hole in here for the funnel. And that, like I said, that's lining up okay, so I'm not going to mess with that, but I am going to mess with this. So I want to look at the deck plan and kind of figure out exactly where that needs to cut. So that will be a deck. Okay, and then ceiling wise, I want to figure out what I'm doing in here too, because yeah, these are all cabins up here, I know that, and then that, yeah, I want to look at the deck plan. So anyway, I know I'm going to have to cut right in here and everything like that. The one thing I did already do on the bottom side here is painted that white. Now I have the Maritime Models, what do you call it, the I-beams. So we're going to start with that and put them on. And then if you notice, I broke away all of the wall that went in here, and this isn't a great paint job. I'm not really worried about it being a great paint job because it's all going to get repainted again once the I-beams are on. So I just wanted to have a little bit of a white base underneath it first and kind of go from there. So that's where we're at. So I'm going to grab the I-beams. Now that I know I don't have to move as much as I thought I did, that made life a little bit easier. So I'm excited there. But I was thinking that it needed to be done. What still needs to get done on this, I still need to finish up furnishing these last couple rooms here. So I'll work on that off camera, not really too worried about them. In our last video, we did the I-beams back here under the backside here, so you can kind of see that, and the wiring then will end up going into the lower deck below, which is part of the poop deck. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this for right now, and we'll then start the I-beams. So the I-beams, I do actually just want to mark it while I have it here. The I-beams will go above the promenade, the private promenades. So I want to kind of mark them. I think it goes above the, I have to look at the kit, but yeah, I think it goes above the staircase entrance. And I just want to have a rough idea. And then back here, it will go in here too. So this one, I don't believe is the full run. I'll know that once I open up the package. But yeah, so just kind of a refresher in where we're at so we can get started. So I'll be right back. Okay, so here we go. First thing I'm going to do, private promenade will be back here. So we're going to have to shave that down a little bit. And you can see the brass has all the lighting in there. In the last section, I used actual nano lights, and I'm not going to do that for these. I'm actually going to just use the fiber optic. So this is 1 millimeter. Let me see if that's big enough or too big. And it looks like that might be just a touch big there for the above the that's not Private Promenade, that's above the Cafe Parisian. This is Private Promenade. But above that, yeah, they'll fit. So I'm gonna have to use a 0.75 for Cafe Parisian, which shouldn't be too bad to do. So first thing I'm going to do is I need to cut these out because I got to figure out where the heck they actually end up landing on the deck, and we're going to use the lower deck to kind of draw out exactly where they're going to be on this deck, and then I'm going to tape them. And I'm not getting this perfect right now with the cuts. I'll clean that up later with a file. Right now I just want to get it off the main piece here. And that will land right around there, roughly. And then we have our two entryway pieces. I don't even know, I wouldn't say entryway, I'm sorry. These are above the staircase up here by the cabins. Okay, and it's very important that you keep the side beams intact. So that one will go up here. Sorry. It's been a little while since I worked on Titanic, so I forgot how big this is. So that goes right there. Then we have our next one. And that goes there. Okay. Then we have our Private Promenade pieces, and they go in here, and that's another area I'm going to have to kind of shave down, apparently. So it was kind of a waste of time to paint this ahead of time, but that's okay, because I'm going to do the shaving of it, and then I'll end up repainting it probably one more time. Okay, that should go right about there, roughly. Now, all these ones over to the right of where I'm cutting there, they're all the I-beams that go along here. So that's what all these pieces here are for. And then we have the bridge right here, which I won't be using because I have the China 3D bridge and the roof. So I'll be using that. But yeah, these are all marked and numbered. We're not going to take them out yet. I'm going to work on these first. And then we have these last two, which go back all the way aft at the end of the deck there. So these, I at least know pretty much where they're going to go. So that is fairly easy, and I can go ahead and mark them now. With a felt tip. And I'm marking the spots where the lights end up going. And the same thing over here. Just want to make sure I get it in the right spot. Okay, great. So we know where they go. Yeah. All right, now, remembering how I did this last time, basically, I started on one side, and then you bend up. Except the flat part, I remember, had to stay straight. So we need that, and then I'm going to need a flat edge or a ruler if I have such a critter. Oh, that's right. Okay. It's been a couple months since I did this, so just got to kind of remember what it was like. And they basically bend real nice and easy. But I still want to get a nice flat edge. Like I might, oh, there it is. I knew I used a razor blade last time. So what we're gonna do is basically go in and bend up. I remember being careful with the razor blade because you really only get like one shot with this stuff. It's very fragile. Okay, and I'm just going to kind of show it up close there so you can kind of see the effect that it does. So you got these beams now that stick down, and when you look at it from the side here, or if you were under it, that would kind of be the look if you were under it. I'm trying to get it to position for you. There you can kind of see it, so it gets the effect of having the I-beams there. And then obviously the light will shine down through the rafter there. So I'm going to finish bending that one up. That one didn't go far enough. And then next up we will trench out the spot for the lighting. And the one good thing, how I did all of my B-deck rooms, I'll be able to then just basically put them right into those rooms. Okay, so I got these done. They're all bent at this point and set and ready to go. But as I've been thinking about it more, I don't want to risk damaging them as I'm building up the deck. So what I'm probably going to do is mark out where all the lighting is, and I'm going to trench it out. I'm going to save these off to the side in a bag, and then when this is all pretty much said and done and the deck is built up, then I will attach these and repaint the bottom. I don't know, I worry about it getting knocked around and moved around while I'm building up, and yeah, I think that's going to be my best course of action. So these are all going to basically go into a bag and get saved after I go ahead and drill them all out. Not drill, but trench it all out. So the next phase is going to be pulling my copy of Ship Magnificent and basically starting to frame out all of the rooms here. So looking at this, I already can tell that there is something wonky going on with the staircase. It does need to move back because the steps are supposed to be basically right where the wall is here. So this is going to need moved. But it still isn't making sense to me. I guess maybe once I do move it, it will maybe make sense more. But in any case, that's going to have to go back. So we will do that. But I'm just trying to, again, picture this out in my head. So, yeah. Now it's making a little bit more sense. But anyway, that's going to probably be our next phase, is moving that. So let me do a little bit more measuring and make a decision from there. In any case, once I determine where that goes, I do have an elevator shaft printed out. Got to paint it up. That will end up going right there behind it, and at least it will look more Titanic-ish. So we have that. But let me figure out some more measuring and we'll be back. Okay, so after more and more research, I have actually determined that both staircases are in the wrong spot. So that's going to be a small problem. Not so much for back here, because I already relocated it on the lower deck, but up here it's going to be a little bit more of a challenge. But I'm going to just basically drop a piece in front there, because this needs to locate back as well. So for B deck, when you look at this, it's not orientated the right way, but when you look at this, and as I've played with it more and more, I'm finding that I don't really have a, this isn't B deck, I'm sorry, A deck. When you look at A deck, the end of the staircase ends right here at this wall, which means this needs to come back, which is fine because that's how I did the lower deck. And I actually did the same thing with the back, which is good. And this one also needs to come back about that distance, because otherwise when you finally get up to the upper deck, that staircase shows through like midway here, which is wrong. So we're going to make the modifications and fix it and kind of go from there. But in the meantime, I went ahead and got these two trimmed off. And what I'm using for this is just a flat type knife, and I'm coming across straight on here, and it actually comes off very nice and easy and gets a good flat spot. So that wasn't bad at all. Now to cut the stairs out, I'm going to end up basically marking where I need to come back, and then I'm just going to use a very sharp razor blade. So we're also going to need to cut right here, because the rear, aft, whatever you want to say, these drop in. I gotta look at which way they position. Oh, right there, actually, because I left a mark. So that might not need to come off on that one. Yeah, a little bit. So I'm gonna have to trim a little bit of that as well. So I'm gonna start marking out where I need to relocate steps, and then we will go from there. Okay, so I got my two staircases both cut out. So they are enlarged. I'm going to need to bring the floor back farther over on the lip side here. And then these are Maritime Models grand staircases, so that essentially shows how much I need to come back over, basically. So we'll get them set up and ready to go. And now when you look down from the two domes, they will be centered and they will be correct, according to the ship plan anyway. So hopefully I'm right in this, but we shall see. So next up is going to be painting the deck all black to get that ready to put our scale decks down on. So we're pretty much prepped with everything that I need to before I start building up on this deck. So I'm gonna go ahead and paint this and we'll be back. Okay, so just like we've done in the past videos, I got the first part of scale deck glued down, so I'm letting that dry overnight. I have it clamped down with a bunch of clamps, as you can see, and then I'll move forward as I go. So here's the next piece. Unfortunately, when I painted this a while ago, not painted, but sealed it a while ago, it kind of curled up. So I'm going to put this under a book or something to kind of flatten out overnight. But this was curled also, and it seems to be holding okay. So the biggest thing, I'm going to run a dehumidifier overnight to help to basically pull it down as it dries. So anyway, that is the scale deck, and I've run into that before though, on other models where the deck kind of curls up. It's just something you got to be careful of when you're putting it down. So anyway, I'm going to get this down and then let it sit overnight, and then I'll put down the rest of it tomorrow, and then probably start putting some flooring down. So be back in a bit. Okay, so here we are next day. You can see that applied nicely, no issues. I'm happy with it. Got the next piece on right now. Unfortunately, I got to kind of do them one at a time at this point, because I don't have enough clamps to flatten out the entire other side, but that's okay, because in the meantime we're going to start mapping out where our flooring goes, because we got our veranda cafe back here, and then we got our veranda cafe back here. Then we got our staircase, it would have been in here. Then we got our first class smoking room, and then there's going to be a funnel provision right in here. So I got to figure out my flooring, and we're going to go ahead and start applying some flooring here. I do know already that basically here up will be our white tile, similar to what we used on the previous, and I need to add space to this floor. So I'm going to get some resin, not resin, the other stuff, styrene, sorry about that. And we're going to cover that over and get that ready to go. So I'm going to get my flooring ready. I'm going to get that ready and we'll be back. Okay, so here are all of my different floorings, and I have more of it in case I need it, but this is grand staircase tiling, which obviously will go right in there, and that should be a big enough piece for that. Then we have our second class, third class red tiling, which will go in the staircase over here. Then we got our smoking room, so that's our first class smoking room, and then we got our palm court and veranda cafe. So next up, I need to do some measuring from the Ship Magnificent book floor plan, and I'm gonna have to do some figuring out here of where certain walls will go. I am going to be using Woody's veranda cafe, and all the smoking room, basically all the interior will be done. So we're going to kind of measure that out and figure out what I need to actually build with styrene. So just trying to find a nice place to set this book right now. And still be able to work, and that should work. So what I can see here, there is the wall, which essentially will run along here up to here, and then it becomes the first class smoking room right in here, and then this will have a cutout for the engine, the funnel, and then there's going to be a wall that will come across to here, which should be part of Woody's kit. So what we're going to do is start to lay the flooring first. Now what I'm going to kind of do with this, because I actually know at this point that this is all covered in Woody's and this is covered in Woody's, so I know essentially where I can floor and where I should not. So I'm just going to mark out with pencil right now about what I want my floor to look like, and that's going to kind of come to here to there. So I don't know if you can even see that on the camera. I can barely, but I want to make it big enough that it will overlap. So both sides will get the same. So I know those floors will basically all fit there. Alright, so not fit, but be part of, whatever you want to say. So where did my scissors go? There's the veranda cafe piece, and now we're going to go ahead and cut that out. So what I want to do, there it is start with my straight corners, obviously, because I know that's straight, and I know my length here needs to go to about there. So we're just going to cut a straight line on my tile here. And I'm not as concerned with it getting covered later, because it's going to end up getting covered with the what do you call it, tile, the second class tile. So what we're going to do for this is cut along our edges here. Oh, and these are all these floorings that I'm using. I know I talked about them on previous videos back in the B-Deck series, but all of these are available on the Titanic 1/200th page. They are free to download and print, or you can pay for them to be done on a more premium paper, and Gene Davis does them, so you can order them on that Facebook page. So wanted to get that out, and I'll have a link in the description here. So what I'm doing here is basically making an outline of the flooring, like where it where the shape is, so I kind of know where to cut. Okay. I didn't quite get that straight. That's okay. We're just gonna get that right now. That's about good. Okay, so basically want to just follow that shape that we just outlined. Okay, so that didn't quite work how I wanted. We're okay there. Okay, so I've got to trim a little bit here. No biggie. And maybe a little bit more. Sometimes it is more a matter of just getting it pretty close. But that technique, I'm actually just not happy with it. So I'm going to do it how I did it on the other deck. I thought the rubbing would work, but yeah, we're gonna do it the other way. So what I did here was just basically press it down, and that gave me a pretty good imprint of exactly where I need to cut. So we'll try that. And that is significantly better. I've still got a little bit of trimming to do, but I can use that a lot better. Okay, a little bit more there. And if I don't hit it 100% perfect, it's not the end of the world, because this will be right up against a wall and you won't ever see it really. The only way you'd see it is if you were standing inside of it. So there's that. Okay, that is going to be about what I get. So now I got to figure out where I want that to cut off, which is going to be there. Basically going straight back. And we're going to take it right to that wall, so I'm going to just fold it here, and that's going to be my cut point. And there we go. Now for the other side, the beautiful thing is it's going to fit perfect right there. Okay, sorry about that. Had a quick phone call, but I can use this one now as a template to do this one. And the biggest thing here is just getting it in the right spot. And then not cutting the first one accidentally. Okay, that one ends right there. A little bit more there. Okay. So now we should have two that go pretty well. Perfect. Yep. Wonderful. All right. So I'm going to glue them down, and I'm just going to use the same glue that I'm using for the decks, which is what do you call it? Gorilla Glue, wood glue. It has worked pretty fine everywhere else so far, so we'll continue that. Now, the glue or the printed stuff you got to be really careful with, because if you get any glue on your finger, it will distort your print. So if you notice there, once I touched it, I was not retouching the flooring before I wiped my finger off where I touched. Okay, so I'm going to glue down the other one. I'm going to cut out the flooring for second class staircase here that you'll never see, but I'm going to put it in anyway. And then I'll glue this one down, and then we'll come back here shortly and put this floor down. So we're right back. Okay, so here is the resin, or God, I keep saying resin, I'm sorry, the styrene that I'm going to be using to cover this over. And what I'm going to do is first I'm going to draw a straight edge on my piece here, and this isn't real thick styrene by any means. I don't really need it to be real thick styrene, so kind of want it to be thin anyway, just for workability purposes. So what I'm going to do is cut that out first, just to get my straight edge going for where I need. Now, you may or may not have noticed back where I did here, I do have a small divide. That's where the wall will go. I did not do here because there's fans that go in here, and I'm probably just going to use either the black of the paint that's currently there, or I might even use the gymnasium tiles, just because they kind of look like a more of a work type tile area. Those are also what I used in the galley for the B deck, so they would work fine for what we're doing. Okay, so I know that this wall essentially ends right here where this starts. So we're going to basically mark where this is at, and then I'm going to run my straight edge along there. And I mean, this isn't a perfect straight edge. I'm not using a 90. I could if I was going to that extreme level, but I think we'll be close enough. Not to mention this is going to be covered with the flooring anyhow, and we're still a deck down that you're really not going to see this very much. So I'll live with what I'm doing. Now I'm cutting bigger than I need it to be. I'm doing that on purpose because now what I'm going to do is drop that there. Well, I cut that actually fairly straight for eyeballing it, like straight enough that I can just trim 2 spots and that'll work. Okay. Sorry, I want to try to move the camera there a little bit better. Hopefully that helped a little. Can zoom in maybe there. Okay. All right, so now I know that that ends about right there because I can feel it. So we're going to straight edge across right here. Okay. Ooh, that needs to be a little bit farther out. Glad I checked that before I cut. But I can use that line in any case to make my cut. Okay, now, there we go, that fits. So, what we need to do now is cut out our staircase provision. So that's going to be here and here. And now I need to figure out how far up it needs to go. And to do that, I'm going to take the Woody's staircase that I used earlier to figure out where it needs to land. So I need to land right there. Essentially. So you can see how much space we're actually covering there. So that's pretty significant when it comes down to it. So now I'll have this here. And that is actually going to have to be just a little bit smaller. So we're actually going to come into here. This way our stairs don't drop off into nothing like the real ones do now. Okay. Now, one thing I just thought about, I need to double check, but now that I'm thinking about it, this is the top. This is the top, which means the banister will come around. So I'm gonna look at that. because it doesn't go like that, I don't believe. Let me grab the little building that goes over this and I'll be right back. Okay, I was correct in that, and luckily not really too big of a deal. So this is the template that comes with Woody's staircase set, and you can actually just print it out right on his website there, which is what I did. So now this drops right into there, and now we have our corrected shape that we need this to basically be. So I am going to end up using this for the forward one, because the forward one still has one more level going up, which will be perfectly fine. So what we're going to do is now basically the exact same thing. Now he has it cutting to make room for, there is 2 cabins there. Okay, good call, Neil. So those are the provisions for the cabins to go, which means I don't want my flooring to be there. So we're going to go ahead and get this trimmed out. And I'm going to assume that that little indent is there also. Yes, it is. So very nice. That made life a little bit easier. Although I don't need to really cut that part out per se. These I do, just because I don't want the rooms to end up messing up my deck height when I put the brass down for them. You know what though? I think I'm gonna have to on that front part there, because that also has brass. But no biggie. So to cut that, because I don't want to do some kind of weird cut, I'm doing this with the triangle type deal in here. So then I can hopefully kind of work my way over to it. Yep, like that. And this will be under flooring anyway, so it shouldn't be too noticeable. Anything that I'm not hitting exactly perfect. But there we go. Now we're going to cut out our stair well. I'm excited because this means that I actually, in the next video or two, will be able to do a grand staircase. Like a real one instead of one of my homemade deals. And this curvature has a banister that will follow along it, so I really wanted to get that shape right. Okay, so now that's what we should look like. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and glue that down. And because we're using styrene on here, I think I'm actually going to use model glue just to get a better stick. Now, in my other build that I have going on the Trans Am, if anybody's watching that, I have made the decision to go back to the orange glue when it comes to plastic parts. Not for 3D printed and that sort of thing, but anything that's like actually dealing with plastic on plastic, I'm going back to the old school. Okay. So now there will be 2 rooms right here. They're set. We're going to use the template to now cut out our grand staircase flooring. So I'm gonna get that a minute. And then everything else in between there, right here, ends up being the carpeting for the smoking room. And I think once we get the floor down for here, I'm pretty much going to end this video at that point, because it's probably getting long, and we'll be getting into the next topic, which is going to be starting to actually construct some rooms. So basically just cutting out the shape again, just like we did. I did realize also one minor mistake that I made down in the lower deck, on B deck, in the a la carte reception area where the grand staircase comes down there. I put the tile in, and that should have been carpet. I'm not going to go back and replace it at this point, but just a note, if anybody else was doing what I've been doing, I made an error. Probably made a lot of errors, honestly, in this build, but it is what it is. It's crazy to think, till this is all said and done, the real build of the Titanic probably is going to end up, well, this will probably end up taking almost as long as the real thing took to build, which just is crazy to me to think about it. But then again, there was thousands of men and women building or fitting out the interior, so yeah. Alright, and this again, we're using our water-based glue, which is just wood glue. Paper's made of wood. Okay, again, want to be careful not to get the glue smeared on the print. Okay, I have a small little piece of styrene. It looks like I might need to trim right there, but maybe not. The banister may cover that. Then a wall will come right along here, so I'm not worried about that. And now we just got the first class to do. So I'm going to pause it, and to do that, I'm actually going to end up using this kind of as a template, because it'll get me close, and then I can trim from there. So I'll be back. Okay, so here we go. We got this cut out to shape, and that worked actually pretty darn good. It fits, no issue, and we just want to get pretty good coverage on it. This is a little bit bigger of a piece than the others that we've put on in this video, so I don't want to have bubbles in the middle, but I also don't want to have it like flaking off either inside. So getting it along the edges, kind of a big deal. Now, this deck, as I'm looking at it more, has a lot less going on than the last one. So I think the last one took me a good 2.5 to 3 months to get complete. I don't think this one will take quite as much. There's not as much scratch building that I'm going to have to do in this either, because the last one we added a lot of different rooms, and this one has most of it already set up for me with Woody's kit. So I imagine this will probably go in about 4 or 5 videos. And I'll probably do a video per room. I know right now my plan is a palm court and veranda cafe video. And that will probably be the next one, followed by the smoking room, so that'll be after that, followed by the grand staircase, and then from there we have this is an engine area, so I won't have to worry about that. It's going to get cut out. Not an engine, but sorry, when you look at it on the blueprint, it calls it engine reciprocating cabin, or casing, I mean. Then we go up and we end up with a boiler casing, and then we have our first class lounge, which is our next big room. So I'm going to kind of split it up that way and just basically do rooms as I go here, with videos for each corresponding. So I'm going to finish up off video, getting the rest of the decking on for here, and I'll probably finish the flooring for the entire deck before we start the next video, just because I want to get that on first. Now, I do have some air pockets in here, not air, but bubbles that I want to try to work out a little bit, and that's basically just glue that I need to push forward. So yeah, but anyway, yeah, we're gonna go ahead and wrap this one up. A lot going on in this one, because once we get this set in here and all the furniture on here, and we're gonna put all the windows on here and get that on there, and you know, this will really kind of start to take shape as we go with it. And I got to figure out exactly where I'm going to do the mounting points, which I pretty much know what I'm going to do now. It's going to end up being bolted together, so that it is removable in case I need to do any maintenance work down the road in the future. This deck, or the boathouses, will be glued in place, but I'm talking about deck to deck. It will be separatable for B deck to A deck. So yeah, But that's going to wrap this up. Thank you very much for watching, and we will see you next time here at LC Model Shipbuilding. Please make sure you subscribe.